Okay guys, today I want to talk about the matchup Dhalsim versus Ken. And I show you why Ken is trash against Dhalsim. There are main problems which Ken have against Dhalsim. First of all, it's the range from Dhalsim. Very strong mid-range. And also the extreme less recovery frames and the movement of the hurt box from Dhalsim. I will show you this. So again, before we start, I want to talk again about skill. I'm not talking about skill. I have to repeat this over and over again. Because skill means your brain has learned these patterns. If I drive a car, I have a skill. That's all. That doesn't mean that I have a high brain performance. That is a simple task, okay, which my brain learns, the patterns, and then he can do this because the unconsciousness, neuroplasticity it is called, because the unconsciousness takes the calculations for you. This means if someone have skill, he can win with Ken against every other character if the other player have less skill. This means that that skill means in this aspect that the brain calculate faster. Okay? And if you think faster than your opponent, you have space. You have space to react. It is something like you could say, for you the time is passing slower, like in slow motion. You have more time to react. Your brain is reacting faster. Your brain is calculating different options faster, so you have more space, more time to react. So at this point, we are only talking about mechanics. This means the character anatomy. And in this matchup, Ken is totally bad against Dhalsim in this matchup. Okay, there is V-Trigger 2, but in my opinion V-Trigger 2 is not good because the startup hurt box from V-Trigger 2 is a big problem. Okay? If the opponent have skill, he can counter this good. Okay? So we will start with it. The main point, the main problem from Ken against Dhalsim is, first of all, Dhalsim had extremely high zoning power. And not only that, Dhalsim is not only a zoning character, he is also a rushdown character. Because in my opinion, Capcom made Dhalsim too strong. Much too strong. Because whether it's a zoning character or it's a rushdown character, you can rush down so hard with Dhalsim, that's amazing. Okay? In my opinion, Dhalsim is too strong. It's too strong. So, the point is that Dhalsim has control in every aspect, in mid-range, in close range, and in long range. And Dhalsim has different options and have teleporter. Extremely mobile. That means that Dhalsim is in every aspect better than Ken. In normals better, in mid-range better, long range, short range, options, fireballs, different fireballs, and so on. In every aspect, Dhalsim is better. The most problem for Ken is the movement of the hurt box from Dhalsim. This means if Dhalsim makes a move, then he can immediately make another move. I will show you this in this example. Okay guys, let's do it. Here are the examples I want to show you. And so we start here. So what is he doing? He's throwing fireball, slide, and then that's it. Easy. That's the main problem from Ken against Dhalsim. Why? Dhalsim have mid-range. Okay, he have mid-range. So this means if Dhalsim have mid-range control and on the ground, Ken must jump in. Because you can't challenge Dhalsim. Just a second. You can't challenge Dhalsim with... okay, just a moment. Okay, now. So, you can't challenge Dhalsim on the horizontal. It's hard, because you have no parry, you have no projectile invincible move, and you have to find a way to jump in. But what Capcom did, he did even the jump in from Ken against Dhalsim very hard. Why? I show you. Look at this. Okay, he's mashing, fireball, slide, and then, you see? Fireball, slide, everything is free. He's safe. You see here, he throw fireball. You see here, right? There is controlling the airspace. And then, you see, airspace, I can't jump in. And now he slides 4, means he control low profile, right? I jump in. Look at this now. I jump in. I time it with the fireball. I come over, but doesn't matter for him because this is the problem. The recovery frames are low, right? And for these situations, the recovery frames are too low. This means Dhalsim has almost no risk to do this slide in combination with this fireball, okay? I jump in. What is he doing? And he's away. That's cheap. This is really cheap, okay? And then he do this, also free, right? Teleport and then make this insane big hitbox move. That's cheap. He's free, okay? We go back. So where's the risk part of this move? What Dhalsim do now? Fireball. He's safe. Safe. Away. Safe. And then again, pretty safe. I have to be extremely on point and fast and do here maybe a DP or so on, but this is risky. And you have to be extremely on point. So we see we see now the next example. You see, he's pushing me away, right? So he slide, I punch him. So I jump. Look at this. And that's cheap. This is really cheap. He's using a button which has so much range. Why Capcom don't give Dhalsim higher recovery is so Dhalsim don't spam this move. Look at this. I show you. So you see here how early, and that's the absolute main problem from Ken against Dhalsim. This is the core problem from Ken against Dhalsim. If you want to say me, oh, you have to be more skilled. No. If my opponent have also more skill, I'm again on the same challenge on the architecture level, right? We don't talk about skill. Skill doesn't matter, okay? If I raise my skill through like a car driving, it's nothing else, brain learning pattern, then the other has also higher skill and I am in the same problem again. Because he would make the smooth more intelligence and make the holes smaller. But on the architectural aspect, it's the same handicap. It doesn't change, right? So you see how early I jumped here. You see? Look at this. What is he doing? You see? I don't hit him. That's cheap. That's the main problem from Ken. Because Ken must jump in to Dhalsim. He must. Because he can. It is extremely hard for Ken to get close over the ground. But this is not possible for Ken. Because why? Because Dhalsim can spam buttons like a maniac. Right? So Ken must jump in. So, and if the recovery frames are so low, and you see it here, yeah, I show you. Here, look, so low. The problem is, okay, I could do jump hard punch, but the hitbox from the horizontal hitbox from the jump hard punch is so small, you whiff, and then he can throw, right? So you see how low his hitbox goes, hurtbox goes, because, and look this cheap stuff. Look at this. And this is the core problem against Dhalsim. The core problem. Because Dhalsim can span mid-range moves, and if can jump, he can just do a slide or teleport. Okay? See? And then he throw me. Okay. So we see the next example. Pressing button, right? Look at this. How early I jump. Okay, at this moment he blocked. And you see here in this example, I make it a bit faster. Okay, this is coming later. So look at this. He press. You see how early I jump. How early I jump, right? You see it here. How early I jump. And he can still block. Look. And that's what I mean. That's the biggest problem against Dhalsim. Right? You can't jump in because the recovery frames are too low for this range. For this range, you see? Look at this. I jump. How fast? You see? And he can still block. That's not fair. That's cheap. If you give a button such a range, you have to give on the other part a higher risk. So he can't spam a button. Okay? Dhalsim is just spamming buttons. And he can still block. Right? If I throw a fireball on this range, I could the opponent could easily jump in. Right? So again, he do this button. And look at this. That's interesting. Here also, he just do a light button and he can still counter my jump in. This means Dhalsim just have to do zone Ken and counter his jump ins easy. He can counter Ken's jump in easy. Okay? You see? He's how early I jump. And this is not fair because this is reaction on a very fast pace. And this reaction on a very fast pace should always be rewarded. And that's why some moves need more recovery frames. If not, it's a spamming move. It is not only the how less startup frames the character have and how much active frames a move have. It's also very, very, very important how less recovery frames a move have. So, you see? He slide and he can still... That's insane. Look at this. I react very early, right? You see? And he can still hit me. I didn't even get an overhead with this light button. This means Dhalsim have everything to counter Ken. Because on the basic aspect that he can zone Ken, he can rush down Ken, and he can easy counter Ken's jump-ins. And Dhalsim can have also an anti-air DP, but for DP you have to be extremely ready, and every DP is risky. And you have crouching hard punch. But Dhalsim have much more. He can just slide, teleport, light buttons, and so on. So, look at this. Again. You see? Free. So I throw him. He's in a corner. I can't cross over. He just slide away. It's free. It's free and cheap. So this means that Capcom gave Dhalsim through the extreme small hurtbox an easy aspect. Just a moment. An easy aspect to counter air attacks, air jump. And that's not okay. If you give Dhalsim range and so good plus frames, it's not fair that you give him so good options against air attacks. So, next example. So, easy. You see? It's free. You can't do really good jump in against Dhalsim. In every situation, he can get out. Okay? And I'm in the corner. You see? So easy. And this is the extreme. This is an extreme mobility for Dhalsim, for a character which also have insane range. Mobility don't mean character can walk fast. That's trash. Yeah? Even Bison have much more mobility than Ken, right? Because the dash moves from Dhalsim are projectile, invincible, and so on, and his jumps and so on. So he can go another space on another point, and you see this extreme mobility. So why you give a character such range and also extreme mobility and also hard to hit hurtbox? So I will show you later. Okay, so we go on. And we see here. And that's also a factor which is very important. Look at the hitbox. I jump and look at the hitbox. It's even hard punch, right? You see? This means this goes so far. If I make crouching hard punch, my hitbox is pretty small. But look at this hitbox. You see that Dhalsim have many anti-air options, and that's the point. So the problem is you have to get in Dhalsim. You have to get in. So it is extremely hard to get in horizontal, and it is also extremely hard to get in over and jump, because if Dhalsim would have one or two options, you could calculate somehow and look for some patterns. But if Dhalsim have many options, many different options for anti-air, it is very hard to predict and to recognize his pattern because he can change it. If his skill raise and my skill raise, we are again in the same spot. Because, why? If, for example, two race car drivers, right? Both have both level of skill. So which car race driver would win? The one with the better car, right? So on the same skill level, it is always the better character which wins. Okay? And this is why I talk about this character anatomy, because character architecture, because this is what is very important. Sure, you can raise your skill and play more, and your subconsciousness, which people call it muscle memory. This doesn't mean that you have high brain power. That's trash thinking that I don't need high brain power to drive a car. It's just a simple game, and there are some patterns, and your brain learn it, and that's it. And that's not what I'm talking about. So we look at this. And now we next one. Look at this. I jump. You see his anti-air, how late he can use still his anti-air. It is a hard punch. Look at this. And you see the distance. I show you. You see the distance here. Very close, right? So I want a crossover. You see? And look what happens. Look at the hitbox from this anti-air. You see? I show you. Look. There you see it. How fast, how early the hitbox extends if we do this move, right? And I'm on a crossover and I don't hit him. So these are the hidden buffs from a character. The hidden buffs on character are not only the frame data, they are also the hit and the hurt boxes, the behavior of the hit and the hurt boxes. This is where you can make a character very strong or very weak. For example, the X Tatsu from Ken. the hard Tatsu from Ken. The hitbox is very bad because the first hit you do with Tatsu is very late, and most other characters can easily punish Ken's Tatsu. So we go further. You see? And did you see that? This is very important. Look at the bad hitbox from Ken's crouching hard punch. Look at this. So it was here. Yes, you see? And look, and that's what I mean, why Ken is trash. That's the main factor why Ken is trash. Not only because he have bad normals, the worst normals in the game, from all characters in Street Fighter V. Also the hitbox, because how good a normal is don't only depends on the recovery, active, and startup frames. It also depends on the hitbox, how big the hitbox is. And you know, look at this. I am below Dhalsim and he's upper. And look what kind of move he makes and what kind of move I make. I make a move which is especially for opponents which are higher. But his move not. Look at this. See? And he hit me. You see this? You see this great hitbox and how fast I didn't even hit him. You see how fast this move is. And that's the problem against Dhalsim. The recovery frames and the hitboxes are bigger. The recovery frames are smaller. Yeah. And the hitboxes recoveries are less, recovery frames are less, and the hitboxes are smaller. You see this? That's the point. So this is why, look at this. Just slide, easy. So easy for Dhalsim to play against Ken. Okay, many people say, yeah, you have to learn with Dhalsim longer, and it is harder to learn. No. If you reach a peak with a character like Ken, it is X times harder to get over this peak, right? So that's for now. I will show you next time on second part about other problems in the matchup, because if I make matchup videos, I want to first show you the worst problem from the character architecture which can have against the character. I don't want to talk about strategy and tactics, which are also an aspect of skill, which don't show that the character is better. Yeah, this means if you have higher skill because your brain reacts faster, because this kind of patterns like car driving you have mostly in your muscle memory, while if you played years before fighting games and then came Street Fighter V out and you play Street Fighter V, this means you have years before learned to drive a car and now you drive another car. The patterns to driving a car is already in your muscle memory, it's already in your subconscious. That means that you have already skill built and created in yourself. So if I talk about matchup, I'm not talking primarily about strategy, which comes later. I'm primarily about the handicaps in the character architecture, which is built in. So summary, first and foremost, the main problem from Ken against Dhalsim is that Dhalsim can easy zone Ken, because Ken have no parry, Ken have extremely bad normals. That's why Ken can't challenge Dhalsim on the horizontal. And in combination, the synergy, that Dhalsim also have very good anti-air options, which is cheap. Because if you give a character a good horizontal power, Capcom must make the character wake against anti-airs. Otherwise, a Dhalsim player will spam the moves. This means the anti-air from Dhalsim against Ken is very strong, right? So I show you different examples. So, and the third point is Dhalsim can rush down Ken through the teleport and through the good plus frames and different options of the mid-range. That's the point. Okay, this was genius, and this was the first part of matchup. I think that's enough for now, and till you next time.